I have a wonderful guest, Mindy Benezra, and her husband David started CABODOGZ in January 2011. CABODOGZ is a rescue group that rescues dogs in shelters, dogs that are probably going to be euthanized, and tries to find a wonderful home for them. They're also the owners of the Ventura Highway luxury boarding for dogs, where the dogs can stay until they find their forever home. They're also very involved in educating people about dog adoption, and especially working with kids to educate them about responsible pet ownership. Mindy, welcome to Our Ventura TV.
Thank you.
And I see you're here with a couple of your friends, and we'll talk about them shortly. First of all, tell us about CABODOGZ and where the name came from and how long you've been doing that specifically.
Okay. CABODOGZ came from Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. That's where we actually got started rescuing dogs. In January of 2011, we started a very nice association with the Los Cabos Humane Society, and they provided us with all the details and information about bringing dogs back to this country, and that's when we started. We brought 2 dogs that very first trip, 2 little dogs under our seats, courtesy of Alaska Airlines. They actually will fly them for free.
They do.
If they're rescue
Wonderful.
dogs.
Yeah.
We started CABODOGZ because we saw so many homeless dogs on the streets and skinny strays, and we wanted to give back a little bit. And so then we started rescuing dogs both in Cabo and locally.
Well, that's wonderful. Alaska Airlines, did you approach them, or how did
No,
that happen?
they have a liaison with the Humane Society there, and it's part of like a contribution that they give to the community to help the dogs get out of Mexico, because there's really no other chance for them for adoption locally.
Yeah, that's great. Well, when did you first fall in love with dogs and helping them from being euthanized, basically? Because if it's not people like you, these dogs won't be alive.
We've been in the dog business for about 13 years, and I pretty much started falling in love with rescuing them from the beginning, and talked about it for many years, but didn't really start it until 3 years ago.
Yeah, well, that's great. A little history, when you bring the dogs back, then what happens?
We bring them to Ventura Highway,
Yes.
and that's where they are fostered and cared for until we can find them forever homes. We advertise them on our website. As you know, we hold local adoption events in the community. We advertise to people that come in our office to board their dogs, and we find them homes.
Okay, well, you bring in dogs not from Cabo now also, and
Yes.
some cats, I believe.
We've rescued about 105 dogs total, and about 40% from Cabo and 60% are local.
Yeah.
So I feel really proud that even though we started in Mexico, which isn't this community, and there are plenty of homeless dogs here, that we've branched out and started doing this locally.
Yeah, well, very good. A silly question, that dogs from Cabo, they speak Spanish.
You know, that's a very, yes, they do. They understand Spanish.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, most of the ones that have been adopted out, their new owners tell me that they understand Spanish commands, they understand the language. They perk up when they hear it.
Yeah, well,
One lady
that's
told
right.
me that she had a housekeeper who started speaking Spanish to the little terrier that she adopted from Cabo, and she just perked up and started
Yeah.
wagging. And
No,
so
that's
that's
fun.
really,
Bilingual dogs.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now, how do you, I know you educate the youngsters and you have a puppet show. Can you tell me about
Okay.
that?
I had this idea about a puppet show where a dog would be teaching the cat how to take care of their pets. So I wrote a script, and it's called A Felix and Fido Chat. And I have an associate, her name is Carmen, and she is the dog, she's Fido, and I'm Felix, and we do the script. It takes about 8 minutes. We take it to kids' libraries. We've taken the show to senior centers, and we're going to be putting it on at our adoption event at the Ventura Harbor.
Oh, very good. And at the end, we'll talk about how to contact you. So schools, senior centers can have the show and how they get involved.
Yes,
with,
we're very
the adoption.
interested in bringing it into the schools, and when school starts in the fall, we're looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, yes. Well, I don't know if they're in camera, but maybe you can briefly introduce your two guests.
Okay.
Oh, one of them's over here.
Pinto, come on up, come on. Okay. This is Pinto, and he's from a rescue from the Camarillo shelter. And he was on death row last August, and we rescued him along with 5 or 6 other dogs that month, and everybody else got adopted. We took them to adoption events, and he had an attitude, and he was kind of, nobody really wanted him or liked him, and so we just kept trying, and I've been fostering him, and so we decided to adopt him a couple of months ago because he loves us.
So
and we
he's
love
your
him.
dog now.
He's our dog now,
Right.
even though he has an adopt me scarred on.
Right.
He's been adopted.
Well, what a lucky
and
dog.
He's an example of how you can turn a dog around that's really been abused with kindness and love.
Yeah, yes.
And
So
consistency.
all dogs can be made
They can.
wonderful and adoptable. And who's your other friend?
Okay, and Duende? Duende. Duende, come on up. Come on. Come on.
That's a little crowded for
Come on.
him.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay.
Hey, what a good dog.
Now, this is
I
Duende.
hope Scamp learns from this.
Duende means ghost in Spanish, and he's from Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, and he has a Mexican scarf on. And we rescued him in April of 2011.
Yes.
He was like our, I don't know, like 20th rescue dog or
Yes.
15th. And, oh, Duende, well, we tried for 3 months to find this guy a home, and
He's scared.
took him
Why?
around and actually gave him to somebody,
Yeah.
and they brought him back the very next day because they said he was searching for me
Yeah.
and trying to dig out of their yard to get to me, which, you know what, I don't doubt. It turned out to be a great dog. He's a therapy dog. We kept him. He goes to the senior center and brightens up the old people's days.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you have a hard time getting rid of these dogs. You know,
Well,
like there's 2 of them that became your friends.
And there's one more
One more.
at home, and his name is Cheech, and he also came from the Camarillo shelters. So yes, in the last 3 years, 3 of the rescues ended up in the Benezra house.
Yeah. Are many of the dogs adopted and brought back like he was? Are many of the dogs returned to you?
Out of the 100 dogs, no.
Yeah.
No, we have had one brought back, but yes, somebody readopted the dog right
Yeah.
away. It's really great to get out into the community events, and when we're in a crowd, we almost always get adoptions.
Yeah, you can almost tell when people pick up one of the dogs. If they hold them for more than 5 minutes, you know they're kind of hooked.
We want to give the people that are at the events that want a dog a day or so to decide, and come back the next day. And we don't just want to get rid of them.
Yes.
We want to find them loving forever homes.
Yeah. Now, what you need from people? You need volunteers, or you probably need money. You need people to adopt dogs. How can people get involved in what you're doing?
We charge $100. It's an adoption fee, which is less than most groups charge, and that gives you a dog that's healthy and vaccinated and generally microchipped.
Oh, that's great.
And spayed and neutered.
Scamp has
which is the very
I
important
forgot
thing.
to turn off my cell phone. It's probably one of Scamp's friends calling. If they're not a show, they would go to Ventura Highway to meet the dogs, or do you take them to people?
Yes, most of the rescues stay there. A couple of them are in foster homes as well, but if somebody wants to come and see a dog, we just have the foster people bring them in. And
Yeah. If they own, oops, I'm sorry, Scamp. If they are parents to a dog, Scamp hates when I call them dog owners. Can they bring the dogs they have with them to meet the possible adoptee?
We recommend it. It's a good idea that they meet before you bring the dog home.
You save many, many dogs from being euthanized, and there are many people like you that do that. So I'd like to thank you very much for being my guest here. I'd like to thank you for watching and letting me be your host, and Scamp, who wasn't a great host, but he did pretty good.